Okay. Hello everyone, and welcome to another Thomas Wooden Railway custom video. I have actually been holding off on doing a couple more of these videos for a while, but I figured that I could go ahead and make another one. But anyway, so what we are looking at today is a custom Wooden Railway Bradford that I have just finished. And I will go into all of the details in regards to how this custom came about. Alright, so first, for the storyline in regards to this character, and that, well, Bradford was introduced in the season 20 episode entitled Bradford the Brakeman. And the story is that Bradford was a brakeman from the mainland who normally works with Samson, who is also an engine that normally works on the mainland. And he came to Sodor along with Samson, and Bradford offered to help Thomas in organizing his trucks. And the thing here is that Bradford was very restrictive of the rules, and that he wanted to be sure that the engines were safe, and, you know, he was very picky about every little detail, and trying to make sure that the engines were all staying safe, which made them a little later than they normally would be. Kind of a little too restrictive, but Bradford did mean well, and he was just trying to do his job as a brakeman, and he did not really mean to do any harm. He just wanted to be sure that the engines were safe. He had good intentions. And the engines just did not realize that right away, especially Thomas, who neglected to use Bradford when he went to the quarry near the end of the episode, and Bradford was the only brakeman available for Thomas to use, so he just didn't use Bradford because he did not want to be late again. And Sir Topham Hatt had told him, and Bradford also told him as well, that staying safe and following the rules was more important than being on time, which I suppose that is a pretty true lesson. Now, as far as how this custom came about, I took a Wooden Railway NW brake van, and, oh, I'm sorry, you cannot see all the way. There we go. An NW brake van for the base of this character. And, you know, on the bottom it says NW brake van. And it just so happened I had two of the NW brake vans when I was a kid, because my parents, for some reason, got me two. Not quite sure why. Perhaps they just forgot that they already got me one. But anyway, I took the extra NW brake van that I had and made it into Bradford. And, you know, spray painted it in this kind of sea green color, as well as using a paintbrush to create the side. And the number right there, it's very hard to tell. Especially, well, it's hard to tell both on camera and in person, but the number right there is supposed to say 0919. And the same case is on the other side, and it's very hard to tell with all the detail, and I do apologize for that, but, you know, it's just very small detail, and it's not perfect, but that is how it is. So, here is the NW brake van, the other one that I had. And you can see the same shape with both of them. I did use Model Magic to make the railings over on the roof to, you know, to replicate how Bradford looks. And of course, there was also the face. Now, the thing here is that I actually used this NW brake van and flipped the chassis around. That's why there is this little hole in the back, and that was where the face used to be, because I actually flipped it around. So basically, Bradford's face is actually attached to the back of the NW brake van, but this is actually a custom that is made for going forwards, because Bradford most of the time is coupled to trains facing forwards rather than facing backwards like Toad. And it just so happened that I did actually use the face from the NW brake van, and I used it for this freight car right here. See that? I just thought that it would fit very well on this freight car right here. This is a cargo car, by the way. I think it came in either, I think one of the Day of the Diesel sets. I'm not quite sure which, whether it's the Figure 8 one or the Diesel Works set. One of those, anyway. And the face that I actually used on this Bradford right here. Now, for starters, people who make a custom Bradford probably would either try using Reg's face or Gator's face. And there are a couple of complications in regards to both of those. Well, with Gator, it probably would not be that big of a deal, but considering that the Wooden Railway line has been discontinued, I just did not want to bother just getting another licensed Gator Wooden Railway model and just taking that to cut the face off. So, pretty much, I just wanted to leave open the possibility of others being able to get another Wooden Railway Gator. So I didn't use Gator's face, and I also did not use Reg's face either, because Reg's face, well, Reg in general was only available in the Reg and Percy at the Scrapyard sets, and although I could have gotten a used one off of eBay, it's very hard for me to even find one of those, at least at a decent price. So what I did instead of getting either a Gator face or a Reg face for this, I actually went ahead and took a face from a Thomas & Friends Wood Diesel 10. Now here is the Thomas & Friends Wood Diesel 10 that I had already, and you can see the similarities in the face. And this is a Thomas & Friends Wood Diesel 10 that I got because I figured that the small size could maybe be pulled off as being Diesel 9, a character from The Railway Inspector 3. If you've seen his narrow gauge movie, you should know who that character is. And, you know, I got a Thomas Wood Diesel 10 to portray Diesel 9. Now that one was a fully painted Thomas & Friends Wood Diesel 10, but the one that I used for this custom was the not fully painted version of Diesel 10. And this is it right here. This is the very first time that I have gotten a Thomas & Friends Wood any character, whether it be Diesel 10 or any other character, that was not fully painted. And the reason why I got a not fully painted Thomas & Friends Wood Diesel 10 was because lots of people were complaining about how the early Thomas & Friends Wood models were not fully painted. And I just did not want to bother tearing off the face of a fully painted Thomas & Friends Wood model, which is also why I'm not bothering to get a Thomas & Friends Wood Gator for such an instance, for a couple of reasons. One is that there was never a Thomas & Friends Wood Gator that was only partially painted like this, because that release was actually canceled for the redesign. And another thing, I think that that Gator face would have just been too small to fit onto Bradford right here. So I went with the unpainted version because, well, hardly anyone is even going to complain that I took the face off a not completely painted model, because there were quite a lot of people that did not like the Thomas & Friends Wood models. There were quite a number of parents who complained about getting one of these for their kids and the kids not liking it. And, you know, that was what led to the models being fully painted. So it was good that they actually listened to customers who were purchasing these trains. And that's pretty good, to actually listen to your customers, because if you listen to your customers, you improve on your sales. And you may also notice that I also cut off the claw on this Thomas & Friends Wood Diesel 10, because I plan on using this for future customs, like maybe make this into Sigrid of Arsdale for the Arsdale Railway. I do plan on maybe sawing off the chassis right here, because the early Thomas Wood models. I was gonna say the early Thomas and Friends Wood models did not have those silver bolts on the bottom of them, but Diesel 10 does not have those, strangely enough. I know that some of the later models did have those, but the early Thomas Wood models didn't have them, and I'm just amazed that Diesel 10 did not have those, even after the fully painted models had occurred. So there's that right there. Not quite sure what I will do with the claw that was originally attached onto here, or something. Maybe I could use it for scenes where Diesel 10 extends his claw somewhere where it's impossible to make the Thomas Wooden Railway model do. You know, like do the scenes where Diesel 10 actually has the claw in different, scenes. Like when he's moving it about during, well, every series, or every special or episode, which he's only a... Okay, for a minute there, I thought it may have stopped recording, but for a minute, or he's just only been in one episode so far at the time of the recording of this episode, and that was in The Missing Christmas Decorations. Any episodes that Diesel 10 has appeared in after that point in time, they had not come out yet at the time of the recording of this video, and I do not even know that there's going to be any that are up and coming. It has not been announced that Diesel 10 will be making any future episode appearances at the time of the recording of this video, just in case one episode has by the time you're watching this, but it's very unlikely that that's not going to happen again, but you never know. So that right there is my custom Wooden Railway Bradford. I am very happy with how this one turned out, even if the numbers are not all that perfect on the side, and even if there is this little hole on the back. But, it will work out on my layout, as well as for any Wooden Railway episodes that I may decide to do. So, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.